Kirby, Kirby, Kirby. That's the name you should know. And trust me, he's the star of the show. Out of all the game series that exist in this world, Kirby has always been my favorite. A lot of things make Kirby great, like the simple yet effective gameplay, the incredible music, the cutesy yet terrifying enemies you fight, and most of all, his copy abilities. Ever since Adventure happened, copy abilities have been Kirby's bread and butter. Before that, you just
suck.
After seeing so many people talk about their favorite and least favorite abilities, I have to give it a try. So here's my top 10 favorite Kirby copy abilities. Before we start, I gotta tell you about the rules. Super abilities and Robobot armor will not be allowed. Same with the combinations from Kirby 64. Elemental combinations and upgrades will be allowed. A good example being Star Allies and Forgotten Land. No Dream Friends and no endgame abilities. Without further ado, let us begin. What happens if you take an already existing ability, give it more tools to work with, enhance its power, and give it more combos? You would get Wrestler. First, we had Backdrop, then we got Suplex, and finally we got Wrestler. And talk about an upgrade. Damn, this ability's good. First off, it's very flashy. The attacks have a lot of style to them, and attacking enemies with this ability just feels great. Sure, Suplex is kind of cool, but honestly it was mediocre. The only attack you could pull off was Pinpoint Kick if you ever get into bosses. But Wrestler has so much more options. You could do a Spinning Kick, a powerful uppercut attack which is similar to Hammer Flip, a bunch of aerial attacks you could do, like kicks and headbutts, and more. I would have put this ability higher on my list, however it has only appeared in one game, and that one game happens to be a spin-off. If Wrestler comes back in any other future Kirby games, it definitely would be higher. Up next is Spider. When I first started using Spider, I wasn't too interested in it. It had some decent range and some AoE, however its damage wasn't too great. When I first using this ability, I thought it was just pretty alright. A cool idea, but nothing too special. Then I discovered you can jump on your own webs, allowing you to speed through levels and gain great vertical mobility. It doesn't even have to be the friend bounce ability, it could just be any webs you throw. It's still low on my list because its damage is pretty lacking, and it has only appeared in one game. It would be higher if it had more damage, but it would be cool if you had the ability to swing around like Spider-Man with this. That would be awesome. Let's move on to number 8 before Jameson hears about this.
I'm very popular, y'all!
Despite this just being an umbrella, it's surprisingly powerful. This ability has some decent power, and its dive attack really racks up damage. It also has some defensive qualities as well, like the umbrella itself shielding you from anything from above. But the main reason why I like this ability is the dash. Not only the dash is fast as hell, but it also carries over momentum. Dash jumping with this thing makes me feel like I'm playing a Mega Man X game. However, not all Kirby games have the dash jump equally. I feel like Planet Robobots and Triple Deluxe's dash jump doesn't carry as much momentum as like Return to Dreamland's does. It's still a pretty good ability nonetheless. However, our next ability we're going to be talking about has much more consistent mobility across the series. The next ability we're going to be talking about is straight up fire.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Fire is on this list for the same reason as Parasol is, for mobility.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
This ability has a very spammable dash that takes you pretty far, allowing you to blaze through stages. You also have the incredible Fireball Spin. This attack allows you to roll on the ground at great speeds, but it also has the secondary function of allowing you to scale up walls incredibly efficiently, while still having decent damage. The reason why fire is higher up than Parasol because it's more consistent. In some games I feel like Parasol's mobility isn't as good as in other games, but no matter what game I play which has fire in it, it always feels fast.
No! It burns!
There are these copy abilities that people would consider long-range melees. Out of the 4, which one would I put on my list? Whip is pretty boring. You can attack enemies upward with it and pick up items, but it only has a little bit more range than Sword, and its damage isn't really impressive. Spear is better, having an actual projectile you can throw. You can also attack underwater with it, and the Spear Copter is a very fun move to use. But despite its extra utility and fun moves to use, it's still not anything impressive. Yo-Yo is pretty cool. Yo-Yo's attacks have a lot of style to them, and have pretty good range as well. Hell, you can even walk the dog. But despite all that, it still isn't number 6. And then you have Staff. What can Staff do?
Holy Jesus.
Staff is how you should make a long-range melee. Its range is incredible. Its basic combo attack covers a large radius and has great range as well. Actually, all of its attacks have incredible range. Its charge attack is just as long as my dick. The ability itself has some pretty decent damage. Actually, this ability does really good damage. And just like Spear, it has a single attack I really like. The Pogo Fault. The Pogo Fault allows you to jump around on your staff. Jumping around with this thing is incredibly fun. You can even combo it into a rapid flurry of blows that deals good damage. The Pogo Fault's actually good for mobility, which is also really fun to pull off. Hell, Staff even has a counter attack. The only thing holding this ability back is it only has been in 2 games. Hopefully, we see more of this incredible ability. Yo, Smash Bros. Who you think you are? The Simpsons? This is one of my favorite newer abilities, and also my favorite ability in Forgotten Land. First off, they gave Kirby a gun. Look at this shit. It's beautiful. Let's put the memes beside because this ability is actually really good. For his basic attack,
He wields a gun.
sorry about that, I can't help myself. Despite having a basic moveset, it does what it does greatly. This ability has a charge shot which not only does pretty decent damage, but also you can snipe enemies far away with its lock-on. It also has an attack you can use in midair for some quick damage. And finally, it has a dodge attack where you rapid fire projectiles into the enemy. There isn't a lot, but the things it does is great. But we still have more to talk about, like its upgrades. Not only the upgrades look fine as hell, but they're also very fun to use. First, Noble Ranger. This upgrade is pretty good. It turns Ranger's single-shot pistol into a full auto killing machine. But it doesn't even compare to the good shit known as Space Ranger. Sure, it may not have rapid fire, but it does give Ranger the ability to atomize anything that stands opposed to Kirby. I'm serious, this thing is busted! It's one of the strongest abilities in the damn game. You can charge up a hollow purple with your laser gun, go towards the enemy, and keep spamming them with the mid-air shot. And let me tell you,
That's a lot of damage.
the most similar thing to this ability would be Archer. Archer's a pretty good ability. You can aim in multiple directions with it, it's very powerful, and it's fun to use. But I find Ranger to be much better. Not only Kirby has a gun, but I find aiming at enemies with this thing being much more fun, since you're in a 3D environment. A good example of this is the fight with the furry. This ability should come back in later games. Hell, I wouldn't mind if it replaces Archer. Fighter is a ability that I always liked. What can I say about this ability? It's good! Just kidding, there is a lot to say about this ability. What I would describe Fighter as is a jack of all trades. Fighter has a lot of combos, it has good damage, and it has surprisingly good range. Fighter is always a good pick for combat. You can even pick up stars and throw them at your enemies, which does good damage. Fighter is also a reference to Street Fighter. You can even do the Hadouken input to fire a powerful projectile. Like I said before, it's a jack of all trades. Its power is good, it can do powerful combos, its range is pretty good, and it even has fan service. No, not that fan service. This ability here is a safe pick if you want to kick ass. You know how I said Ranger was my second favorite newer ability? Well, this is my favorite newest ability. This ability is so goddamn cool. When I saw this thing in the trailers, it looked hype as hell, and I have to say, it delivered on the hype. I have heard people were disappointed with this thing, but I'm sure not. This is the coolest copy ability in the franchise, and here's why it's cool. First of all, its design. Mecha's hat is incredible. It looks like a combination between a Mega Man X armor and a Gundam. It also has two shoulder cannons that can act like a jetpack, and big mechanical gloves that can be charged with electricity. Now let's talk about its moveset. Mecha's moveset is also great. Its basic shot is simple yet reliable, being able to shoot enemies while flying through the air. Its fireball attack allows them to shoot enemies that are above you, dealing surprisingly good damage to bosses. You can rapid fire your blasters by crouching. You can throw down electric mines from above. You can even charge up your basic shot to fire a laser beam. And then you have this. The dash attack can combo into a fully charged shot. Not only this feels awesome to do, but it's also very spammable and deals good damage with incredible range. It even has a flashy counterattack that feels satisfying to do. Mecha is an incredibly flashy ability that feels great to use. It also has great range, allowing it to attack from afar while still doing respectful damage. Such a fantastic ability. This needs to be in future games.
What are you guys thinking? Get it? Because I'm gonna pour water on you!
I'm not electric.
Despite being a obvious pick, that doesn't mean it's a bad pick. You know why Hammer is awesome. We all love this ability because of its overwhelming power. This ability is able to kill bosses in, at most, seconds. Hammer can also be good for combos with its dash, its mid-air attacks, and attacks like Hammer Twirl, all dealing great damage, while also feeling pretty satisfying to hit enemies with, especially with Forgotten Land. And then you have its most powerful attack, Hammer Flip. The singular move is why Hammer is so goddamn powerful. Use this move and suddenly all your enemies will disappear. I wonder why. Also in Forgotten Land, it has the ability to bounce around. It gained its positive reputation for a reason. But before we get to number 1, here is my honorable mentions. Sword is a pretty alright ability. It has a good moveset and it's fun to use. However, its damage output was kind of weak, despite this being a close range ability. Sword from Forgotten Land was really good though. Like I said before, Yo-Yo is cool. It got good range and decent damage, but hasn't appeared in many games. Wheel is fun, but I find it slower in the 3DS games, despite getting new moves. Archer is a good and powerful ability, and is also broken, but despite that, I much prefer Ranger. Yet another overpowered ability. Definitely one of the strongest abilities in Return to Dreamland, but I didn't care for it in Forgotten Land. Mirror is a really cool ability, but isn't too powerful and hasn't appeared much. Spark is a good ability for boss fights, with a ability to attack up and down with lightning bolts, and strike enemies with a plasma blast. Just don't use it in Triple Deluxe, they butchered the poor thing. UFO is a really cool and powerful ability, there's nothing like it. However, it hasn't appeared in many Kirby games, and when it does appear, it's incredibly rare. You could say the same thing for Smash. Incredibly cool, yet hasn't appeared in many games, and is also incredibly rare. Now it's time for number 1. I have talked about a lot of abilities on this list. I have praised abilities for feeling good to use and being flashy. I have praised abilities for having good range. I have praised abilities for being really fast. I have praised abilities for having a singular move I really like to use. And I have praised abilities for being really powerful. All these abilities have different or at least similar reasons why I like them. My favorite ability has most of the things I really like about abilities, or at the very least, a decent amount of things I like. And for those reasons, that's why my number 1 is Ninja. Now where do I start? This ability's incredible. I love it. This ability is one of the coolest in the series. You're a goddamn ninja after all. A lot of your attacks are very cool and flashy, like attacks being Blossom Storm. And do you know Kirby's up grab from Smash Bros? That awesome move originally came from Ninja. Its dash attack being Stealth Slash is an incredibly cool attack which feels good to pull off, and Quad Stroke just feeling really good to use. And with Kunai Throw being very fun to spam, this gives Ninja an incredibly fun moveset. I also like running through stages as Ninja. If I'm just wall jumping, rapid firing kunais at enemies, slicing enemies with my katana, or getting myself accidentally killed. Not only that, it's also one of the most powerful abilities in the series. Blossom Storm does some pretty good damage, but Quad Stroke is the real good shit. Not only the attack is very powerful in itself, but it's also pretty spammable as well. You can even do this attack while in the air. And remember that grab attack I was talking about? You can grab one of the stars while near the enemy and deal some really good fucking damage. Even the kunais deal pretty good damage, are spammable, and have very good range. In conclusion, Ninja is an incredibly fun, flashy, and cool ability, which is also incredibly powerful. And when Ninja at its peak, I argue it can be as powerful as Hammer. And my favorite version of Ninja being the one from Return to Dreamland, because you can use Quad Stroke in the air. Unfortunately, Triple Dogs and Onward took away the function to use that move in the air, limiting how much damage it could do. But despite that, I still love this ability. It's badass, fun to use, pretty powerful, and is my number one.